Good morning, scholars. Today we're going to begin in earnest our Greek course based on Pharr's Homeric Greek, a book for beginners, with lesson 1 concerning the alphabet. In Pharr's book, he presents the alphabet fully as having 26 letters, 2 of which letters are archaic letters, the letters wa, Digamma, and Koppa. The only one of these that will concern us ultimately as we read Homer is wa. Koppa is something you might encounter if you ever became an epigraphist, but it's not really relevant. So actually, I prefer the alphabet as offered in Smyth's Greek grammar with only 24 letters, and because these are the letters that one will actually encounter using your lexicon to look up vocabulary. So the names of the letters are alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, theta, iota, kappa, lambda, mu, nu, xc, omicron, pi, rho, sigma, tau, upsilon, phi, chi, psi, omega. Now those 24 letter names must be viewed as distinct from the sounds that the letters represent when you actually pronounce them. So you'll see in the far right column, Smyth offers a phonetic symbol for what the sound actually sounds like, and he will offer English words. But the best way to assimilate the sound of the letters is by watching some videos that I will list in the description and talk about them later. But that letter that Smyth does not contain in his alphabet, he describes fully in section 3D of his grammar. And he tells us that wa was in use as a genuine sound in the time of the Homeric poems when they were composed, though it is found in no manuscript of Homer. Okay? Many apparent irregularities of epic verse can be explained only by supposing that wa was actually sounded. And then in this section he goes on to give numerous examples of words where the wa sound did occur, and where we can see it either in our most especially in our comparison with Latin versions of the same word. Okay, so this section is a good section to review once you want to learn a little bit more about Digamma, but there's no reason for us to go into it now. Now, because Digamma ultimately disappeared in Attic and only occurs in a couple of places, and you can look into that in section 122 and 123 of Smyth at your leisure. Now, coming to the actual vowels and consonants of the alphabet, you have simple vowels, a, e, o, I, and u. And these, like I say, will be best practiced using Kostas's video found on YouTube, which I'll list in the description. He's a native Greek and specializes in the restored pronunciation, and I take his pronunciation to be authoritative and most certainly better than my own. So regarding these vowels, Smyth at section 7 offers a very nice chart of the phonetic relation between the vowels. And so with this diagram he shows, reading from the right, from long alpha to iota, and from short alpha to u, the elevation of the tongue gradually increases. Omega, omicron, u, and u are accompanied by a rounding of the lips. So this gives you a general, more or less abstract notion of the phonetics. But again, it will be the videos of Kostas that will best give you the practice. So I've listed here the translation of the words that Kostas uses in demonstrating the vowel pronunciation of the Greek alphabet, what these letters sound like. And I'll post this as a document on my Patreon site, and you can go to that and actually print this out if you'd like to use it when you practice your pronunciation with Kostas videos. Okay? Now, there are these other vowels called diphthongs, and diphthongs are vowel sounds that unite two letters in one sound. So like I in Cairo, A in vain, Oi in soil. And again, Kostas has a video on pronunciation of the diphthongs. So again, I refer you to his video. And again, here are his the translation of the words that he uses to illustrate the proper pronunciation of these diphthongs. And again, those you'll be able to download that from my Patreon site. Okay. Now there are these things called improper diphthongs as well, and these consist of a long vowel, alpha, eta, or omega, with an iota, which is called iota subscript. It's written beneath unless the first of these vowels is a capital, in which case the iota is written on the line. So you have oikato, but written oikato in the capital letters. Okay. Whenever by inflection or otherwise an iota follows immediately after alpha, eta, or omicron, it regularly becomes iota subscript, thus producing an improper diphthong. Okay. These diphthongs are usually pronounced the same as a, and o respectively, although in Homeric times the iota was probably sounded to some extent. So again, there's a lot of leeway in pronunciation, and I strongly recommend that you follow Kostas's example. Okay. Now, phonetics play a very important part in understanding the way Greek words are formed. So it's important that one be familiar with some of the terminology that surrounds phonetics. So the division, moving to consonants now, the division of consonants is twofold. They can be divided according to the organ of speech whereby they are produced, i.e. with the throat, ga, ka, ka, with the tongue, ta, da, ta, na, la, ra, sa, or with the lips, p, ba, pa, pa, ma. And they can be divided also according to the greater or less exertion of the organs of speech required for their production. So there are semivowels, in which the pronunciation approach most nearly to vowels, and these are divided into the spirant, s, which is sometimes between a vowel and a consonant, and liquids, ugra, so called from their readily cohesing with a mute. And we'll see this, that the liquids, lambda, mu, nu, and rho, they will set next to a mute without undergoing any change. And we'll see this, okay? And then you have these mutes, which are pronounced with the greatest exertion of the organs, ba, ga, ta, da, ka, pa, ta, pa, ka. And these 9 mutes are divided according to the force of articulation, okay, and according to the organ of speech, or according to their respective names, into Koppa sounds, tau sounds, and pi sounds, okay. And so you get, regarding the mutes, and this is found at section 16 of Smyth, He says mutes or stops. Sometimes you hear either term used for them. Stopped consonants are so called because in sounding them, the breath passage is for a moment completely closed. The stops are divided into 3 classes, according to the part of the mouth chiefly active in sounding them, and into 3 orders, according to the degree of force in the expiratory effort. So you have from the lips, pa, ba, pa, from the teeth, ta, da, ta, and from the palate, ka, ga, ka. And as you can hear and experience doing them yourself, the force increases as you move from the left to the right. Okay, so we don't have these aspirated mutes in English, so it's a little hard to get used to them. But in Homeric times, they were pronounced something like TH in fat head, PH in sap head, and K in thick head, respectively, but without the breath noticeable in English between the 2 syllables. So I think that, you can approximate, and it's always just an approximation, by the way we pronounce in English Thaddeus, or tampon, or ex-con, where you have that H following the ta, pa, ka. Okay? And these are tricky, like I say, because they don't have parallels in English. So you have to put some effort into making them happen. Okay? Now, the Greek alphabet also concerns these things that are called double consonants. Okay? And the double consonants result from the union of a mute with the spirit S. Okay? So, psa results from the union of pi with sigma, beta with sigma, or psi with, or pa with sigma, and xi from kappa, gamma, or ka with sigma, and zda from sigma with delta. Okay, so we will see these double consonants emerge in various formations of verbs and composition of nouns. So this is just something you have to be aware of, and to know that these 3 letters are double consonants. They actually arise from the union of 2 of mutes with a sigma. Okay, and we'll see these down the road. So you have, and here I've, if someone's curious, I have some examples of the double consonants at work, and on the right you'll find the section of Smyth where the rule at hand that's causing the consonant to the double consonant to emerge is noted and explained. So you have tupso, I will strike, kalups, hardened iron or steel, katelips, the upper story of a house, korax, a crow, lexo, I will lay to sleep or I will gather, onyx, a nail, and Athenasde, towards Athens. So again, if you're curious and want to know exactly what's going on here, consult the sections in Smyth listed on the right. Now, so again, in the classification of the different consonants, it becomes important to just get comfortable with these distinction between liquids, nasals, and semivowels, because we'll talk about these again and again as we talk about the way certain Greek words are formed. And ultimately you'll get used to them, but there is a little learning to do here up front. So there are 2 liquids, lambda and rho, and if initial rho always has a rough breathing, and you'll find out what a rough breathing is in a little while. Okay, and you have nasals. There are 3 nasals. There's a labial nasal, m, a dental nasal, n, and a palatal nasal, g, g, g. The gamma before kappa, gamma, ka, or xi is called gamma nasal, and it has the sound of N in think, and it was represented by N in Latin. So you have ancora, angelos, and sphinx, okay? And that's something we have to get used to as well, the way that gamma before these letters will result in a slightly different pronunciation, okay? Sometimes the word liquids is used to describe both the liquids and the nasals together. So just roll with it, okay? Your semivowels are iota, upsilon, and the spirit S, okay? Iota, when it becomes the or wa, is also considered a spirit, okay? Don't really worry about that. Like I say, these technical words for the groups of vowels, liquids, nasals, semivowels, and g nasal, these are just some words you have to have up in your head to be able to deal with things down the road. Okay. So to conclude this lesson, we'll go through this initial vocabulary that Pharr gives us. And these are words that are going to be found in the opening lines of the Iliad. So you might want to start making flashcards of these just to get kind of a jump. So we have menis, aedo, de a, Peleiades, Archileus, Ulomenos, Hos, Murioi, Archaios, Algos, Diteme, Polos, Oionos, Te, Dice, De, Iptimus, Suke, Ice, Proiapto, Heros, Autos, Helorion, Tuco, Kuon, Zeus, Teleo, and Boule. And he gives you some derivatives, as always, at the end of after the vocabulary, and those are good to be aware of. But what you want to do in order to really capture this lesson, the most important work that has to be done is simply learning the alphabet. And so what I recommend is that you take your legal pad, and like I said, we'll learn mainly by writing. So you want to start by breaking the 24 letters of the alphabet. Take them 4 or 5 at a time. Let's go with 4 at a time. And just write alpha, beta, gamma, delta. And I mean just write the letter and say it while you write it. Okay? Then alpha, beta, gamma, delta, alpha, beta, gamma, delta, okay? Delta, and then delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, eta, theta, iota, kappa, eta, theta, iota, kappa, okay? And continue like that, just writing the alphabet out again and again. And be careful of your bridge letters. And what I mean by, when I learned the alphabet, I just wrote alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, and then I went zeta, eta, theta, iota. And what I found was I was a little sketchy when I was done at the transitions. So if you take 4 letters at a time, always start with that 4th letter. If you take 5 letters, always start with that 5th letter in doing the next one. So that would be alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon. alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon. After you've written that 5 times, go with epsilon, zeta, eta, theta, iota, epsilon, zeta, theta, eta, iota, and then iota, kappa, lambda, mu, nu, xi. Okay? And I don't know how many times you have to write this, but just write until you're comfortable. You'll never know your ABCs like your nursery school teacher. You'll never know your Greek alphabet like your nursery school teacher taught you your ABCs. But nevertheless, you just have to have a good sense of the order of these letters so you're not lost when you're looking up a word in the lexicon. And so that's really it. So practice writing the alphabet so you learn the order of the alphabet, and check out Kostas's videos for pronunciation so you can get a good start in pronouncing your vowels. And the consonants, the pronunciation of the consonants will pretty much take care of itself. Okay, well, have a good day, good luck, and I'll see you very soon.